I didn't know he was watching me. Episode 8. Ada spent 3 days at Jisoo's apartment thinking. 3 days of lying in bed staring at the ceiling. 3 days of coffee that went cold while she sat at the window watching Seoul move through its routines. 3 days of Jisoo checking on her with worried eyes and gentle questions Ada couldn't answer. On the 4th day, she woke up knowing. Not because the doubt had disappeared. Not because the manipulation and lies suddenly didn't matter, but because she'd finally understood something fundamental about herself. She didn't want safe. She'd never wanted safe. If she'd wanted safe, she would have stayed in Nigeria, would have married someone her mother approved of, would have lived a small, predictable life in Lagos without complications or moral ambiguity. But she'd left, come to Korea, taken a job cleaning floors in a building where she didn't speak the language, sent money home to a family that needed her, built something from nothing. And when she'd met Jaehyun, when she'd seen who he was, what he was capable of, the darkness he carried, she hadn't run. She'd stayed. She'd chosen him, not because she was naive, not because she didn't understand, but because something in her recognized something in him. Two people trying to be better than their circumstances suggested they could be. The manipulation hurt. David Chen orchestrating their meeting, destroying her mother's business, positioning her like a chess piece, that would always hurt. And Jaehyun knowing about it for months without telling her, that was a betrayal that left scars. But the feelings were real. The choice to stay after learning the truth was real. The way they'd fought together at the shelter, protected those women, became a team in the moment that mattered. That was real. And Ada was done letting other people's manipulations define her choices. She texted Jaehyun, "Can I come over? We need to finish the conversation." His response was immediate. "Yes, anytime, I'm here." She showed Jisoo the text. "You're going back to him," Jisoo said, not a question. "Yes." "Are you sure?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Jisoo hugged her. "Then I hope you're right about him. I hope he deserves this second chance you're giving him." "He probably doesn't, but I'm not doing this because he deserves it. I'm doing it because I choose it, because I'd rather try and fail than walk away wondering what we could have been." That's very brave or very stupid. Like you said before, maybe both. Ada packed her things, not much. She'd only been at Jisoo's for a few days, but it felt significant anyway, like closing a chapter, like choosing a direction. The drive to the penthouse felt longer than it was. Security let her up without question. The elevator ride lasted forever. When the doors opened, Jaehyun was standing in the living room, waiting, looking like he'd been waiting for days. Maybe he had been. "You came back," he said. "I came back." They stood there, 10 feet apart, an entire conversation in the silence. Finally, Ada spoke. "I'm not here because I've forgiven everything. I'm not here because the manipulation doesn't matter anymore. I'm here because I choose to be, because I choose you, despite everything. Maybe because of everything, I don't know." Jaehyun didn't move. "What does that mean, for us?" "It means we start over, really start over. Not pretending the past didn't happen, not trying to go back to before, but building something new, something honest, with real foundations this time." "Okay, how do we do that?" Ada crossed to him, stopped a foot away. "We set rules, real ones, non-negotiable." "I'm listening." "First rule, no more secrets. Ever. I don't care how inconvenient the truth is. I don't care how much you think I can't handle it. You tell me everything, before I find out another way, before someone else uses it against us." "Agreed." "Second rule, I'm not your weakness. I'm your partner. That means you don't make decisions about my safety without consulting me. You don't hide me away when things get dangerous. You treat me like an equal who can handle the reality of your world." "That's going to be hard. My instinct is to protect you." "I know, but you need to fight that instinct. I need to know what's happening. I need to be part of the decisions, or this doesn't work." Jaehyun was quiet. Then, "Okay, I'll try. I can't promise I'll always succeed, but I'll try." "Third rule, you keep changing. You keep trying to be less violent. to find solutions that don't involve people dying or disappearing. I know you can't completely walk away from who you are, but you can choose to be better, and you have to keep choosing it. I've been trying. The wire, the confession, I meant what I said. I'm tired of being that person. I want to be someone you can be proud of. I am proud of you. When you gave the confession willingly, when you understood why I wore the wire, when you let me go at the shelter even though every instinct told you to lock me away somewhere safe. That's the man I love, the one trying to grow, not the one frozen in the violence of his past. Jaehyun reached for her hand. She let him take it. Fourth rule, Ada said. The shelter work continues. I keep helping those women. I keep interfering in trafficking operations. I keep making myself a target, and you support it, even when it scares you, even when it makes you vulnerable, you support it. That one's going to be hardest of all. I know, but it's non-negotiable. This is who I am now. This is my purpose. And if you can't accept that, then we can't be together. I accept it. I don't like it, but I accept it. Good, Ada stepped closer. Last rule, you and I, we're a team. Not me following you, not you protecting me like I'm fragile, but partners, equals, making decisions together, fighting threats together, building this life together. Can you do that? Yes, no hesitation, no doubt. Yes, I can do that. Ada kissed him, soft, then deeper. 4 days of separation and doubt and fear pouring into it. When they pulled apart, Jaehyun rested his forehead against hers. I love you, he said. I know I've said it before, but I mean it differently now. I love you enough to change, enough to be uncomfortable, enough to give you the truth even when it hurts, enough to let you be dangerous instead of keeping you safe. I love you too, enough to stay, enough to forgive, enough to build something real even when the foundation is broken. They stood there, holding each other, two broken people choosing to be broken together. Ada's phone rang. For a moment, she considered ignoring it, but the ringtone was the shelter's emergency line. She answered, Mrs. Cho. Ada, Mrs. Cho's voice was tight with controlled panic. We have a problem. Choi is back, not at the shelter this time. He took Linh. Ada's blood turned to ice. What? She went to the market this morning with security, but there were too many of them. Choi's men, they took her, left this. Mrs. Cho's voice cracked. A note. It says if you want her back, you come alone, tonight, 8 p.m., address is in Gangbuk, an abandoned factory. I'm coming. Don't do anything. I'll handle this. She hung up, looked at Jaehyun. Choi took Linh. His expression went cold, dangerous, the version of him that had stood in warehouses and made men disappear. Where? Gangbuk, abandoned factory, 8 p.m. He wants me to come alone. Absolutely not. Jaehyun. No, this is exactly what we just talked about, being partners, making decisions together. And I'm telling you, you're not walking into a trap alone. He has Linh, if I don't go. Then we go together, we bring my people, we get her back. But you don't go alone into a building with a man who wants to hurt you to prove a point to me. Ada wanted to argue, wanted to insist she could handle it, but that wasn't partnership, that was ego. Okay, together, but Jaehyun, we can't just storm in with guns. Linh is already traumatized. We can't turn this into a war zone. I know, so we need a plan, a good one, and we have. He checked his watch. 6 hours to figure it out. They spent those 6 hours planning. Jaehyun made calls, brought in his handler, pulled up blueprints of the factory, identified entry points, sight lines, places Choi's men would be positioned. Ada insisted on being part of every discussion, every decision. When Jaehyun's people suggested she wait in the car, she shut it down immediately. I'm going in. That's not negotiable. Choi wants me there. If I'm not, he might hurt Linh just to make a point. The handler looked at Jaehyun. Jaehyun looked at Ada. She's right. She goes in, but not alone, and not unprotected. They outfitted Ada with body armor under her jacket. Light, flexible, but enough to stop a bullet if things went wrong. They gave her an earpiece so she could communicate with Jaehyun's team. They reviewed signals, escape routes, contingencies. Lieutenant Park appeared at 6 p.m., unexpected but not unwelcome. "I heard," she said. "About Lin, I'm coming with you." "You don't have to." That girl survived a trafficking warehouse, survived being filmed while she slept, survived Choi's first visit. She's not surviving this alone, and neither are you. Ada hugged her, this woman who'd taught her to fight, who'd shown her she could be more than a victim. At 7:30 p.m. they mobilized. 3 cars. Jaehyun's team in the first. Ada, Jaehyun, and Lieutenant Park in the second. Backup in the third. The factory in Gangbuk was exactly what Ada expected. Abandoned. Decaying. The kind of place where bad things happened and no one noticed. Jaehyun's team swept the perimeter. Identified 6 of Choi's men outside. Unknown number inside. "We can take them quietly," the handler said. "Remove the exterior guards before you go in." "Do it," Jaehyun said. It took 10 minutes. Silent, professional. When it was done, 6 men were unconscious and zip-tied in a storage unit a block away. "Your turn," Jaehyun said to Ada. "Are you ready?" "No, but I'm going anyway." She kissed him, quick, fierce. "If this goes wrong, if I don't make it out, you don't retaliate by becoming the old you. You don't kill Choi and start a war. You honor what I asked for. You be better. Promise me." "Ada." "Promise me." "I promise, but you're coming out, we both are, with Lin." Ada walked to the factory entrance. Alone, as instructed, but knowing Jaehyun's team was moving into position, knowing Lieutenant Park was entering through the back, knowing she wasn't actually alone. The factory floor was vast, dark, lit by a few industrial lights hanging from the ceiling. In the center, Lin sat tied to a chair, unharmed but terrified. Choi stood beside her, smiling. "Ada, you came. I wasn't sure you would. Most people value their own safety over others." "Let her go. You want to make a point to Jaehyun, make it to me, but let her go." "The point is about you, about what you represent. Weakness, sentiment, the kind of soft thinking that gets people killed in our world." "Your world, not mine." "But you're in it anyway, interfering, taking what's mine, thinking you can save people." Choi walked around Lin's chair. "You can't save everyone. Sometimes people get hurt, sometimes they die. That's how the world works." "Not my world." "Then you're living in a fantasy." Ada took a step forward. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to untie Lin. You're going to let her walk out of here. And then you and I are going to have a conversation about respect and boundaries, like adults." Choi laughed. "Or what? You'll fight me. You took one self-defense class and now you think you're a warrior." "No, I think I'm someone who protects people who can't protect themselves. And I think you're someone who mistakes cruelty for power." Big words for someone surrounded by my men. "Your men outside are unconscious. Your perimeter is gone. Right now, it's you, maybe 3 guys inside, and a building surrounded by people who are much better at this than you are." Choi's smile faded. He gestured. 3 men emerged from the shadows, armed. "Still confident?" he asked. "Yes, because here's what you don't understand. I didn't come here to fight you. I came here to give you a choice. Walk away now. Leave Seoul. Take your operation somewhere else. And everyone lives, including you." "And if I refuse?" "Then Jaehyun stops asking me to save you from yourself. And you become another name on a list of people who underestimated what he's capable of when someone he loves is threatened." "Threats don't work on me." "Not a threat. A warning. From someone who's trying to save your life despite you not deserving it." The door behind Ada opened. Jaehyun walked in, followed by 6 of his men. Lieutenant Park emerged from the back entrance. Alone, but moving like the trained soldier she was. Choi's men raised their weapons. Jaehyun's men did the same. "Don't," Jaehyun said. His voice was quiet, calm, absolutely cold. "Don't make this a bloodbath, because if you do, everyone dies, including you, including your men. And Lin still goes home safe because that's what Ada wants. And what Ada wants, I make happen, every time." Choi looked around, assessed his situation, came to the correct conclusion. "Lower your weapons," he said to his men. They did. Untie the girl. One of his men cut Lin's restraints. She ran to Ada. Ada held her, felt her shaking. It's okay, Ada whispered. You're safe, I've got you. Jaehyun stepped forward. Choi, you and I need to come to an understanding. Which is? You leave Seoul. Tonight, you take your operation to Busan, or Daegu, or anywhere that isn't my city, and you never touch anyone connected to Ada again. Not the shelter women, not Mrs. Cho, not anyone. And why would I do that? Because the alternative is I stop being the soft version of myself. I stop letting Ada's conscience guide my choices. And I remind you what happened to the last 5 people who threatened something I cared about. You're different now. Weak. She's made you weak. No, she's made me selective, but I can still be what I was, if you push me. Choi looked at Ada, at Jaehyun, at the men surrounding him. Fine, I'll leave Seoul, but this isn't over. Someday she won't be around to make you soft, and when that day comes, I'll remember this. By then, Jaehyun said, you'll have forgotten why you ever thought threatening me was a good idea. Choi left. His men followed. The warehouse emptied. Ada stood there holding Lin. Lieutenant Park came and took her gently. Come on, Park said. Let's get you to Mrs. Cho. She's been worried sick. They left. Jaehyun's team secured the building, made sure Choi was actually leaving, documented everything. Finally, it was just Ada and Jaehyun in the empty warehouse. You handled that well, he said. We handled it, together, like partners. I didn't kill him, even though every instinct said I should. I know, and I'm proud of you for that. He's right, though. Someday he'll come back, or someone like him, and they'll be more prepared, more dangerous. Then we'll handle it, together, the way we handled tonight. Jaehyun pulled her close. I was terrified, the whole time you were in here, knowing you were exposed, knowing he could hurt you. But you trusted me to handle it. You didn't burst in. You didn't try to control the situation. You let me do what I needed to do. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I know, but you did it anyway. That's growth. That's change. That's the man I love. They went back to the penthouse. Lin was already there, reunited with Mrs. Cho and the other women. They'd moved the entire shelter to a new building. Again, somewhere even more secure. This is becoming expensive, Jaehyun said. Moving them every time there's a threat. Then we make it permanent, Ada said. We buy a building, we make it a real sanctuary, properly secured, properly staffed, a place where women can rebuild without fear. That's a significant investment. Can you afford it? Yes, but... Then do it. Not for me, for them. For Lin and Mai and Siri and all the others. Give them something permanent, something real. Jaehyun looked at her. At this woman who'd walked into a warehouse to save someone she barely knew. Who'd faced down a dangerous man with nothing but courage and words. Who was asking him to invest in protecting people who had nothing to offer him in return. Okay, he said. I'll do it, we'll do it together. The next morning, Ada woke up in the penthouse. In their bed. In the life she'd chosen despite all the reasons she shouldn't have. Jaehyun was already awake, working on his laptop. When he saw she was up, he closed it. Coffee, he offered. Please. They sat at the counter. The same counter where she'd found the first envelope months ago. The same counter where everything had started to unravel. I got a message from David Chen, Jaehyun said. Ada's stomach tightened. What did he say? His case is moving forward. The confession I gave, it's being reviewed by prosecutors. Korean authorities are being pressured to investigate. It's not immediate, but it's happening. You could go to prison. Eventually, maybe, if everything goes against me, if I can't find ways to make it go away. Are you going to make it go away? Jaehyun was quiet. I don't know. Part of me thinks I should face it, take responsibility for what I did, what I didn't do. Part of me thinks that's martyrdom that helps no one, that I do more good outside prison than inside. What does your conscience say? My conscience is complicated. Mine too. Ada took his hand. But here's what I know. Marcus Chen deserved better. He deserved justice. And if facing legal consequences for your role in his death is what justice requires, then maybe that's what has to happen. Even if it means I go to prison. Even if it means we're separated. Even then, because the man I love takes responsibility for his choices. And if that means paying a price, then that's the price. I'll be here when you get out. I'll wait. Jaehyun pulled her close. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but you have me anyway. They spent the day making plans. For the permanent shelter. For additional security. For what would happen if the legal case progressed. For the first time, they were planning a future together based on truth instead of convenient omissions. Based on partnership instead of protection. Based on choice instead of manipulation. It wasn't perfect. The foundation was still cracked. The trust was still rebuilding. The threats were still real. But it was theirs. That evening, Ada went to the new shelter, helped the women settle in, sat with Linh and listened to her process the trauma of being taken. I thought I was going to die, Linh said. Again, just like the warehouse, just like Park's operation. I thought this was finally the time I wouldn't survive. But you did survive, because you're stronger than they are, because you matter, because people care about you. You came for me. You walked into that place knowing it was a trap. Of course I did. That's what we do. We protect each other. Linh hugged her. Thank you for everything, for the shelter, for caring, for making me believe I'm worth saving. You were always worth saving. You just needed to believe it yourself. When Ada got back to the penthouse that night, Jaehyun was waiting with dinner. He'd cooked. Badly, but he'd tried. This is terrible, Ada said, tasting it. I know, but I made it myself. That counts for something. It counts for effort, which I appreciate. They ate the terrible dinner, laughed about it, felt normal for the first time in weeks. After dinner, they sat on the couch looking out at Seoul. What are you thinking? Jaehyun asked. I'm thinking that 3 months ago I was cleaning floors, sending money home, living in a tiny apartment, invisible, powerless, and now I'm this, with you, running a shelter, protecting women, making choices that matter. And I don't know how I got here, but I'm grateful I did. Even with all the pain, all the manipulation, all the impossible choices. Even with all of that, because the pain means I felt something real. The manipulation means I mattered enough to be used. The impossible choices mean I have power, agency, the ability to affect the world. I wouldn't trade that for comfortable invisibility. You're extraordinary. I'm just someone who got tired of being moved around like a chess piece, so I became a player instead. Jaehyun kissed her. Best decision you ever made. Second best decision was staying. Choosing you, choosing this life, despite everything. That night, Ada fell asleep in Jaehyun's arms, not because she'd forgiven everything, not because the doubt was gone, not because their future was certain, but because she'd chosen him, with full knowledge, with open eyes, with a clear understanding of exactly what loving him meant. And in that choice, she'd found something she'd been searching for her entire life. Power, purpose, partnership. The ability to be seen and valued and dangerous all at once. Outside, Seoul glittered. Inside, two broken people held each other and built something real from the ruins of manipulation and lies. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. And for now, that was enough. Ada chose to stay, to build something real on a broken foundation, to be partners with a dangerous man trying to be better. But David Chen's case is moving forward. Choi is still out there, and the final 2 episodes will test whether their choice to stay together can survive what's coming next. Subscribe if you need to see how this ends. Comment, did Ada make the right choice? Because episode 9 is going to challenge everything they've built, and episode 10 will give you an ending you won't forget.